Very good morning, students. Today we are going to continue our subtopic in medicinal and toilet preparations. That is our continuation of bonded laboratory. Yesterday we have discussed about issue of license and its procedure to obtain license for manufacturing in bond or bonded laboratory. So now we are going to see bonded laboratory general description. So that is coming to bonded laboratory structure. Bonded laboratory should have the following, that one separate storeroom, and that is a separate plain spirit storeroom. So a separate plain spirit store is required to provide in bonded premises. Next, there should be only one entrance to the laboratory, one door for each of its compartments, and a separate room for manufacturing of medicinal and toilet preparations. One or two rooms is required for storage, and a separate room for manufacturing of toilet preparations and its storage, and a room for excise officer in charge at the entrance with the furniture. The bonded laboratory should be opened and closed in presence of excise officer in charge and secured with excise ticket locks. So that is, there should be only one entrance, one door, separate rooms for manufacturing of medicinal and toilet preparations, and separate storage rooms for medicinal and toilet preparations, and a separate room with accommodation at the entrance for excise officer in charge with its necessary furniture. And there shall be only one entrance in the laboratory and one door to each of its compartments. And coming to the description of how to keep the sizes of the windows, doors, distance, everything as per the norms of we have to manufacture. So that is, every window shall be provided with 19 mm thickness iron rods. Every window in bonded laboratory should be provided 19 mm thickness of iron rods and set apart at a distance not more than 1 or 2 mm. So the distance of this 19 mm rods should be 1 or 2 mm. The iron rods should be embroidered in brick construction to a depth of 51 mm at each end. So there should be embroidered and covering outside with strong wire net of a mesh not exceeding 25 mm in diameter. So the windows should be covered with covered from inside with strong wire netting of mesh, which should not exceed 25 mm in diameter. So this is about the window style. So that is, the window should contain iron rods of 19 mm thickness, and the distance should be 1 or 2 mm apart. And the iron rods should be embroidered in brick construction into a depth of 51 mm. That means, so visible iron, apart from that, that 51 mm should be inside in the brick construction, so that it will be very strong. Nobody can break that so easily. And it should be covered with a strong netted wire mesh of 25 mm diameter. So that is about the only construction of a window. Each room is bonded. Each room in bonded laboratory should have a board indicating name and a serial number of the room and the purpose for which it is used, and it is painted in oil color. every room should wear a board indicating the name of the room and the serial number, and that is to be painted with an oil color. The pipes from the sinks, all the pipes from the sinks in the laboratory should be connected to the closed drainage, ultimately forming part of general drainage system. That is, all pipes from the sinks or wash basins inside the laboratory should discharge directly into the general drainage, and it is closed properly. Why? Because in this bonded laboratory or non-bonded laboratory, you are maintaining or you are using alcohol and other products for preparation of this medicinal toilet preparations. So whatever the usage will be there, it should be go directly into the general drainage, and it should be closed. The gas and electric connections should be arranged in such a way that there should be auto cutoff at the end of the day's work from one place, and or otherwise shall be having cutoff. That should be there. So all the regulators or switches should be securely locked. Permanent vessels in bonded laboratory should bear the serial number and stating of the full capacity of the vessel. That is, all the vessels which are holding alcohol and other liquid preparations should bear a distinctive serial number with their full capacity, and it is marked with indelible ink. Indelible ink means nobody can rub it. The spirit should be obtained from the spirit warehouse approved by excise commissioner. See, in all the places you will observe the excise commissioner involvement. The indent should be sent in duplicate in prescribed form, countersigned by the officer in charge of the laboratory. So all this should be in a uniform way. And the alcohol storage vessel shall bear the excise ticket lock. Alcohol is issued in a duly sealed container and under intimation to the excise officer concerned, and then only it is opened, and no wastage during transshipment is permissible. So wastage also it is not accepted. And for any loss due to negligence of the manufacturer, excise duty has to be paid. So it is in the presence of excise duty. So if there is any loss, it the negligence of manufacturer, it has to be paid. And one more most important point is the laboratory can be opened only in the presence of excise officer in charge. At the end of the day's work, it shall be closed with excise ticket locks. It should be closed with excise ticket locks. So now, verification and storage of alcohol. On its arrival into bonded laboratory, alcohol is measured in volume and strength. Then entries are made in register, and these are stored in a spirit storeroom with excise lock. Excise lock means there should be a seal of excise officer and it is locked. So again that lock has to be, lock means whatever the seal you are keeping, again that lock should be opened in presence of excise officer only, and in presence of excise officer only this will be locked with perfect coordination between excise officer in charge and officer of the manufacturing unit. So particularly this spirit storeroom and alcohol storeroom, whenever the containers are opened, it should be in presence of excise officer and it should be closed in presence of excise officer. The alcohol is issued from the spirit store from time to time in accordance with the procedure under the rules. Issue of alcohol from stores. The manufacturer should calculate the requirement of the alcohol and hand it over to the excise officer. All the ingredients should be kept ready And on receipt of alcohol, the solvent should be mixed immediately in presence of excise officer. So all the ingredients should be kept ready on the receipt of alcohol, and the solvent should be immediately mixed in presence of excise officer. Otherwise, 25 more than 25% may be evaporated because it is an alcohol. The preparation should be immediately removed from the store, measured and stored in vessel provided, and enter in the register and given a batch number. So whatever the requirement receipt is there, according to that it has to be prepared, and then immediately it has to be again measured and stored in the vessel, and it should be entered in the register with a batch number. So till now we have studied the general description of bonded laboratory, and always we have studied that there will be separate room, main entrance, this and that. So by seeing this plan, you can understand very clearly so how this bonded laboratory will be planned. So plan of a typical bonded laboratory. So this is the plan of a typical bonded laboratory. So there is only one main entrance, and if you observe all the rooms, there is only one door. And earlier we have discussed in general description that each and every room has a window with iron rod, mesh, and sizes, separation sizes, everything is given. So it will be clear. So that is what is the size of the window? And just now I have said window should be having 19 mm thickness rod with a gap of 102 mm apart, and 50% that is 51 mm is kept inside the construction. So that you have to remember, and the strong mesh is covered around it with 25 mm. Now if you see, there is a mixing room, there is a filling room, there is a separate spirit store room, separate labeling and packing room, any intermediate products which will be stored in intermediate store, finished products will be stored in 1 and 2. So that is medicinal preparations in one room, you can say toilet preparations in one room. Both storerooms are required, and there will be a chemist to analyze all these things, and the whole company is under or in presence of an excise officer. That room will be in front with required furniture, and accommodation should be there with all necessary furnitures. And in front of his room, all the samples which are manufactured will be stored in the samples store. So this is about your complete plan of your typical bonded laboratory. So this is most important in bonded laboratory. So this plan you have to remember. So you see once again, mixing, filling, spirit store, labeling, packing, intermediate store, finished products, store 1, store 2, chemist, and there is only one entrance, that is only the main entrance, and exit and entry will be done with only one door, that also in presence of excise officer only. So in exam, they may ask you question, write in detail about bonded laboratory, or they may ask, write the differences between bonded laboratory and non-bonded laboratory. So issue from bonded laboratories. The manufacturer makes application to the excise officer, and now coming to excise duty officer and pays excise duty, and it can be adjusted against any advance duty paid by him. Only on payment of calculated duty, the goods containing alcohol are permitted to be taken out from the bonded laboratory by the excise officer. So in presence of excise officer, this bonded laboratory is running. So before you are not paying any fee for usage of alcohol, but it is calculated in presence of excise officer. At the end, you have to pay the excise duty only on payment of calculated duty. The goods containing alcohol will be permitted to be taken out of from the bonded laboratory. So the preparations supplied exemptions. The preparations supplied to the government hospitals, dispensaries, and charitable hospitals and institutions which supply medicines to poor as certified by the district medical officer are exempted from the payment of excise duties. So for the supply to the government hospitals, the duty fee will be exempted for these people. I mean, for this area, we have exemptions like government hospitals, dispensaries. Penalties, if we are not following the provisions of the Act or excise duty, failure to supply required information, punishment will be given imprisonment for 6 months with or without fine. So that depends upon the excise officer. An officer without a reasonable ground detaining the goods with an intention of harassment or torture may be fined up to rupees 2,000. If the officer is also doing mistakes, then he will also be punished. He will also be fined with a rupees of 2,000. An officer who refuses to perform duties unless he has obtained permission to withdraw shall punishable with 3 months imprisonment with or without fine. 3 months imprisonment with or without fine. So just now I have said some exemptions. So you will see those exemptions of duty payment in detail. So supply of medicines containing alcohol manufactured in India and supplied directly from bonded laboratory to the following places are exempted by paying exempt duty. Those are hospitals and dispensaries working under central or state government. Hospitals and dispensaries which are having subsidies by the central and state government. Charitable hospitals and dispensaries under the control and management of local body. Medical store depots of central or state government. The institutions which supply medicines freely to the poor and those are certified to the effect by the principal medical officer or chief medical officer of the district. So all these are exempted from the excise duty which are coming from bonded laboratory to these following places. So from bonded laboratories, whatever the medicinal toilet preparations are supplied to these places have exemptions in paying the excise duty fee. Coming to manufacturing of outside bond, or it is called as non-bonded laboratory. So that is manufacturing and sales. Manufacturing and sales operations are restricted only between sunrise and sunset and days and hours as fixed by the excise commissioner. So non-bonded laboratory will run under an excise commissioner. Timings are as per sunrise and sunset. So the main requirements are here also preparations are that are manufactured using this. They are duty paid alcohol and is known as manufacturing without bond, or outside bond, or they are also called as non-bonded laboratories. So that means these people already they have paid duty for the alcohol and they are manufacturing without any bond or outside bond, or they are also called as non-bonded laboratories. So here coming to the requirements, here also they are supposed to apply for issue of license. A license is required from the excise commissioner and application to be made in the prescribed form, same as bonded laboratory. The prescribed fee shall be paid to the treasury in the form of challan along with the application. So here also this non-bonded laboratory people also has to submit the plan of laboratory building and the list of equipments and which are to be used also has to be submitted. So, and they also has to show the amount of the capital proposed to be invested in the business and the maximum quantity of alcohol likely to remain in the premises at any one time shall be indicating to the licensing authority. Details about the constitution of the firm also has to be submitted, like partners or managing directors or director. All the details of the company or a firm has to be submitted to the excise commissioner. And coming, what the differences between the non-bonded laboratory and bonded laboratory is, if you see, there is a major difference. The non-bonded laboratory, they are paying the excise duty fee for alcohol and they are bringing it. And bonded laboratory, in presence of excise officer, they are using alcohol, and at the end, when the finished goods are moving out from the bonded laboratory, then the duty fee has to be paid. But there are having some exemptions. Here also they should have separate laboratory spirit store and finished store. They also should have only one entrance to the laboratory and one door to each various compartments for like spirit store, mixing, finished store, chemist, so everything. Then here also we will find the same, that every window shall be provided with 19 mm thickness iron rods, and they should be set apart of 1 or 2 mm apart and shall be covered with a strong wire mesh of metal not exceeding 25 meters, and 51 mm of the iron rod should goes under construction, so that the rod will be fixed inside the concrete along with the bricks, and the iron frame can be seen, and which will be very hard to remove it. So the same has to be maintained. A separate spirit store for rectified spirit purchase at the specified duty also should be maintained, because spirit store should be maintained very separately. All the pipes from the sinks or wash basins are connected to the closed drainage, forming part of a general drainage system directly. All electric and gas connections shall be cut off at the end of the day's work. Then there shall be a separate storerooms for spirit purchase at all the duty rates. Just now I said for rectified spirit it has to be maintained separately. So as per that, for 10 rupees it should be separate, and for 20 rupees it should be separate, and for 80 rupees per liter, they all should be maintained separately. So according to the rectified spirit percentage, it has to be maintained. So one will be for 10 rupees, one will be for 20 rupees. So according to the percentage. So there shall be separate finished goods, stored room for medicine and toilet preparations. All the alterations in the arrangement of the building shall be made only with the previous sanction of excise commissioner. So all the alterations or arrangement should be made for the building should be made only with the previous sanction of excise commissioner. So for this rectified spirit, okay, the state government may relax conditions of requirements of infrastructure if alcohol consumption is less. Alcohol is procured by the manufacturer after paying of excise duty. The form for payment of duty is filled up in triplicate form. One copy will be given to the spirit warehouse keeper, second copy to the officer in charge, and third copy should be retained by the licensee. And the duty of alcohol purchased is to be paid to the government treasury in the form of challan enclosed with the application. So this is about your non-bonded laboratory. So in this exercise, only about rectified spirit procurement, it will be separate. That is, for allopathic medicines containing alcohol which are not capable of being consumed as ordinary alcohol, that will be for 10 rupees. And the allopathic medicines preparation containing alcohol which contain known active ingredients with their therapeutic quantities and capable of being consumed by being consumed as ordinary alcoholic beverages, that is for 20 rupees. And other preparations which are capable of being consumed as ordinary behavior, that will be for rupees 80 per liter. So only not capable of being consumed as an ordinary alcohol, that is for 10 rupees. Both other two will be consuming, but one will be knowing the therapeutic quantities, that is for 20 rupees. And the other one is general usage, that is 80 rupees per liter. So according to that, we have kept the amount. So with this, we know about the bonded laboratory and non-bonded laboratory. So here, for all the in all these cases, if you see, there will be some sort of wastage. For that also, the duty fee will be paid. In bonded laboratory, there it will be included. In non-bonded also, they are paying and bringing it. If they are wasting, it will be coming out. So next, you will be studying about the manufacturing of Ayurvedic preparations and homeopathic preparations. So we will be seeing it in our next class.